All right, guys, welcome back. Here we go again with another puzzle streak, trying to get to 50 in a row. And hopefully that will eventually be the thing that we do very consistently in order to sort of know that we're going well on our path towards chess mastery. At least that's my goal. Hope you're doing well today. I think we can just take this bishop. Is that bishop not just free? It seems to me to be free. Okay, so I haven't been doing too well as far as these puzzles are concerned of late, but I have been sleeping a little bit better lately, so hopefully that will make actually quite a big difference. We're off to a good start here. I think this is not forced, but not far away from forced. Why would we not play this? Because then he gets this, and then we do this, and everything looks okay. He can't give mate because our bishop defends. But he can give this check. Now that's something I really did miss. Ooh, that's almost dangerous, but I guess we can take this at this point. All right, so we've got this check and win the queen. We can take this, I suppose. That's one option. Bishop is under attack. Taking, and if he takes back, then taking here, he takes back. We still have to move that bishop, it would seem. There is this, but he takes. Then we can take here. We've lost a pawn. We might lose a bishop, but at least then we can take a knight, threatening another knight. If he takes this, we can come here. It seems kind of complicated, actually. Seems kind of complicated. So is there something simple that I'm missing? Maybe we just counterattack the knight. If he takes bishop, we take knight. Counterattack the knight, he might just take this. Should probably be more likely. He's also threatening this if we move the bishop. And that would be really bad for us. So this does come to mind. There's this. And that is nice. Taking his queen with a check. We can take. If he takes, we take. And I don't see any reason to not do that. Okay. We've got a check here. And that means we can then pick up the bishop. Clearly we can take this. Might be better first to give a check to the king. So as the king moves away, wherever it moves, we can then take one piece and win the other. We could do this, but the problem with that is it lets him give check and then recover the bishop. So instead, let's give him check and then take the knight for free. I don't have all day today. In fact, we'll go for another, well, hopefully until 50. But in terms of time, probably no more than 20-ish minutes. That looks like a free rook with check. Then we can take a pawn to boot. We do have to be aware that he is threatening mate in one. So after the check, we absolutely have to ask what comes next. He cannot block with the rook, although that's the only move, so that'll be fine. Here, we would like to be able to play this. Clearly we can't. We can do this though, and that'll be mate. Straight away I'm seeing this. Yes, he can take us. But after he takes us, we take a rook as well, also threatening a bishop, and we'll take a knight. So I believe that's going to work out nicely. If instead of taking the queen, he takes this, well, we move our queen out and just take it. So yeah, not a problem. In this circumstance, we can actually give a check here and then mate him up here. So I don't see why not. Now we can give this check, which wins the queen. Okay, I must admit I didn't actually calculate this. It just seemed so natural, which is very dangerous, and it's probably half the reason why I get some of these wrong sometimes, because you just think the move looks so natural. This is literally forced though, so I'll play it. It wasn't literally forced, but close enough to literally forced. Best move for white, perhaps something like this. Picking up the rook. Yeah, why not? Okay, we do have a check here. It's a lovely check. King can move, but only at its own peril. And there's actually not many other options there. So yeah, we'll do that. This is an interesting one in the sense that the queen can come here with check. That's important. And once it moves, it's going to be mate. That was pinned by the bishop to the king, so that's why he had to move the king. Now here there's a check. And once he moves away, oh, this looks like something. I think I've seen this before. Yeah, there's a name for this kind of a checkmate, where the knight holds these squares. Then you, I think, sacrifice the queen, and when he takes, you recapture with the rook, and all the squares are taken. So we can start with a check, come in with a queen sacrifice, and then finish the job with the rook. Maybe it's an Anastasia's mate. I'm not sure. In fact, I should do an episode on just checkmates. That's a good idea. If you'd like to see that, just type the word checkmate in the comment box below. And clearly I can take this. That's going to be both a check as well as an attack on the queen. So I don't know why we wouldn't do that. All right, there's a nice fork. His bishop can actually take it, however. So we're not too excited about that possibility. This is nice as well, taking a pawn, hitting the rook. And you can say, well, he can just capture. Well, he can. But if he does, this is going to land on the board, pinning the queen to the king. And the only defense would be to either give up his bishop, which actually doesn't help, or to give up his queen for a bishop. So do I want to take a pawn with a tempo on a rook and a tempo on a bishop? Yes, sir. Okay, I think the idea was that the tempo on the rook means if you don't take the rook, I will. So I think here I can take the rook. I mean, I could think about doing a move like this, but nah, let's take the rook. When I say I thought about it, but nah, I actually did think about it and rejected it. I just thought about it relatively quickly. Okay, so what have we got going on here? You know, our bishop is buried here, unfortunately, because otherwise it would exert a long diagonal influence. His knight is somewhat restricted, but can find a nice outpost square on c5, supported by his pawn. We have a bishop here which is capable of taking a knight, attacking the queen, but thereby giving up this knight with check, and therefore surrendering itself as well. So that would be a blunder. We do, however, have this option of check, which also attacks the queen. Most likely, or forced, is that the queen would recapture. Then we can take back, and we're threatening both a fork, like a check fork against the rook, and this knight is also still checked. And there's no way for him to give any checks there, so that's going to be the move I want to play. Very, very nice. Okay, so now from the white perspective, clearly we we can check our own king. All right, so has to be something better here. We can play this move. He takes. We give it. Oh, I just realized we've got a rook here. I didn't even see that rook before. But we can check with this rook, forcing him to come here. Then there is. Let's see. Then there's this check to win the rook. So I think this is just going to be a win the rook situation. Okay, find the best move for black. Well, he almost looks like he's checkmated. Very, very nearly checkmated. Like, wouldn't this threaten checkmate in an unstoppable way? Doesn't matter where he puts the rook, it just means we get to take a rook. And no matter which pawn he pushes, yeah. Cool, nice and easy. Now I'm already seeing we can take the knight, removing the defender of the queen, and then take the queen. Oh man, I tell you what, the difference a good sleep makes. Good sleep, a little bit of exercise this morning, it all helps. So now we can attack the queen. And when the queen moves somewhere, we can take the bishop. This idea of when your knight is here and their queen is here, to always be looking out for this move. You know, as a general rule, to look for that move in these positions. Got that from Daniel Naroditsky just last night, actually. So I think we'll take the queen. Thank you very much. Why would we not do that? Okay. Is there any sense in giving up this for this? Don't think so. I think instead we should do this, and it's the old pinaroo. The old pinaroo that's going to lead to a materoo. Okay, what are we going to do here? There's a free bishop that we could take. It's a possibility. It's not the only possibility. I mean, if we do that, he's going to be up a piece, you know, with his pieces being pretty well coordinated. And, you know, sure, we want a bishop back, but we're still not winning. We'd still be far behind. Whereas we can take the rook, forcing him to recapture, literally forcing, and then take a queen, force this king either to move away or to move his bishop away, and then take this. And then we're actually up in material. So, you know, that was nice. Here, looks like we have a couple of options to consider. Let's start with the check, because that check is so powerful, it forces this, which creates mate. Which is always nice. Now, this almost looks like a mate on the spot, but he does have this move, after which there's this check. And after he moves, then we can give one more check if he comes here before we take the knight. Oh no, we wouldn't be able to take then. This is interesting. What if we just take this? No, that's probably not going to be it. This is probably it. Check, he takes. Check, he takes, and take. It leaves us ahead of material. We've got this check. he can't defend like this because he just gives up the rook, which means he's instead going to want to play this, at which point we have this check. And again, he's going to give up an exchange there at best by the looks of things. But we also have this check. And then if he plays this, we can come back here, threatening mate, at which point he could come back here. I guess then we could take and he takes and we go into an end game, but we're not winning that end game as far as I can tell. We do have the bishop, but I'm not sure that the bishop is enough. So after checking, he comes here. You know, could we come back here to threaten check, but not mate? Whereas this check does force him here. Following it up with this check does force him to give up the exchange. And that is probably our best bet. Probably our best bet. Cool. Okay, so he is attacking this. But we can take this to attack the queen. Not sure what that really achieves. Maybe we're better off attacking the queen this way with the rook. That could be really nice, actually. Because that way we're attacking the queen, but we're also attacking this pawn with check. And if he then moves away, we could give another check, and there's going to be all sorts of pressure on the position. So we can take, and he has to give up the queen for a rook, which means this rook is no longer attacked by the knight. And then after he gives a check, we can just move away. Looks like he can win this, but after we take and he takes back, he's going to regret taking that because of check and mate. So yeah, we can do that. All right, guys, 10 more minutes to go. Maybe I can get to 50. I'm doing well, 32. My record's 38. Let's continue on. There is this attack on the queen, but it's easily parried by him simply capturing the attacking piece. There is this attack on the queen as well, supported by the rook. Again, he can just take that piece. There's this attack on the queen. Why I like that is because actually the queen doesn't have a lot of good squares to go to. In fact, that queen is as trapped as they come. And in this scenario, it's going to have to give itself up. I actually missed that it had this square, which is kind of weak on my end. Kind of weak on my end that I missed that. Not too pleased about having missed that. We do have this move now. This move, you know, queen cannot take either of these, cannot come either way here, cannot come here, 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 cannot come here, cannot come here or here. So that actually would trap the queen, and we will get the queen for a rook. And our position is solid as well. I don't think there's a way to trap the queen with any other piece. So we'll do, okay, he took this way. Rightio. This is defended many a time, whereas this is not defended at all. We can also take hitting the queen. That introduces threats as well, potentially, because if the queen moves off this line, we can take a rook as well. So the queen might want to stay on this line, cannot use this square, cannot use this square. So that means the queen's going to move here or here. Here it gets in the way of the bishop. And it also walks into this fork, which means I think it's going to move here, which also moves into the fork, which means it's probably going to want to move off this line somewhere and go somewhere like this, or this, in which case we take a rook. So let's do that. Okay. I think we take the rook first, or do we take the queen? It's a good question. I'm thinking of taking the rook because it's a rook. If he moves the queen away, well, then we move our queen away and we've won a rook. Whereas if we take a queen, he takes a queen. Everything's equal. So let's take the rook. All right, well, it's not bad timing because it's time for me to go anyway. I guess today's not the day, guys. I'm not going to get up to 50 today. But why? Why was I wrong here? So why not take the rook? If you take the rook, he's got check. Does that matter? Does that matter? We step aside. No, I don't think that matters. I don't think that matters much at all. So what's the idea? I just thought if we take queen, he takes queen. What, are we supposed to play something like this? He takes, I take. I really don't get it. So, we got the first move. Let's now have a look at this and get this right before we double check it with the computer. I mean, obviously now we know the answer is to take the queen, but the question is why? So what's wrong with this? What should white do now? I guess they just take the queen with check. They take the queen with check. That's what I missed. That's the simple fact that I missed. The simple fact that I missed, if it was take and take, sorry, if it was take, 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 as I thought, then indeed that would be best. The problem is it's actually take, take, move, move. That's the problem. So whereas you take, and then he takes, and at least you've won a pawn. Is that the thinking? I think that's the thinking. Let's just double check now with the engine about what happens here. So now rook takes d6. And rook takes d6. Bishop takes knight. Yeah, okay. And then, in fact, this move, trapping or attacking the trapped rook. Then there is a check, step to the side, giving up a pawn. And you got 2 rooks versus 2 bishops. Interesting. So let's see how far this puzzle actually went. Well, that was it. It's an interesting one because obviously after takes, 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 the puzzle ends when you have 2 rooks and a bishop versus a rook and 2 bishops, but also this possibility of playing bishop into h3, attacking the rook. So that was actually somewhat helpful. Firstly, just always make sure that you're not getting checked, that there's not a check in the way of your plans, slowing you down and meaning that you can't actually do what you want to do. And also, when you see this kind of a pawn structure, always looking out at these diagonals, which are super weak. And if you have a bishop or something that can take advantage of those diagonals, then to be aware of them as well. Okay, so it is time for me to rock and roll. Thanks for watching. That's another episode done. Again, haven't got to 50, 32. which is better than 18 and 17, which I think I got in the previous episodes. So the trend is positive. We'll keep on going. I'll do a checkmating video, I think, at some point. And if you want to see that, definitely let me know. And I will be happy to do it. And also we'll gear up to do another game at some point soon too, which will hopefully go better than the last game did. All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon. Keep improving in your chess. See ya.